muscles. Functions of muscles. Movement, obviously, they allow us to move. Stability, muscles help us maintain our posture. Heat production, when we are cold, we start shivering to increase the temperature. The muscles control the levels of glucose because we are going to use them for energy. Control of body openings.
Skeletal muscle.
Connective tissues. A muscle fiber are going to be surrounded by endomysium. When you put together all the muscle fibers, you're going to wrap them around with perimysium to form a fascicle. Then a group of fascicles are going to be surrounded with epimysium. And the epimysium is going to be surrounded by fascia. Fascia basically separates this muscle from another muscle. All the muscles that are attached to the skeleton are called skeletal muscles. In order to perform a movement, these skeletal muscles must be attached to your bones in two different points. As you can see here, for example, the biceps is attached in this bone, humerus, and this bone right here, your radius, for example. So it has 2 points of attachment. So if you really think about it, if you flex your arm, you don't move your humerus, you move your radius, right? Your radius will move this way when you flex your arm. So out of the 2 points of attachment, this one in your humerus doesn't move, this one in your radius will move. So therefore, the attachment that moves is called insertion. The attachment that doesn't move is called origin. When you flex your arm, the main muscle for flexing the arm is going to be the biceps. Therefore, this is the prime mover. However, the flexion happens only because you flex this or you contract this muscle? No, you also receive the help of these other muscles that you have in here, for example, brachialis. So then this one helps. So the prime mover is the muscle that drives the movement, in this case, the biceps. But this one helps. So this one is called a synergist. This is going to be a synergist and it's going to be an agonist muscle. The triceps on the back of your arm is going to be an antagonist because it's going to do the opposite of what these muscles are going to do. When some groups contract, the other muscles relax. Fixator is a set of muscles that are going to help maintain the muscles in place when you are performing a movement. For example, if you contract this muscle and you have 2 points of attachment, then chances are that this can move, but also the origin would be able to move. How come this doesn't move? Because then you have muscles around this area that are attached to your scapula that are going to fix this point. Therefore, this point will not move. Intrinsic muscles, extrinsic muscles. Intrinsic muscles are the ones that are working in the area where the movement is happening. In the case of extrinsic, for example, when you flex your fingers, you don't use muscles in your hands. You move muscles that you have in your forearms. Basically, they're far away from where you're producing the movement. Therefore, that's why they are called extrinsic muscles. Microscopic anatomy of the skeletal muscles. This is the muscle cell, and inside the muscle cells you have myofilaments. Myofilaments is the machinery that will allow the muscle to contract.
Structure of a skeletal muscle.
What is a muscle made of? Fascicle. What is a fascicle made of? Muscle fibers. What's a muscle fiber made of? Myofibrils. What is a myofibril made of? Myofilaments. Which ones are the myofilaments? Thin and thick. What is another name for thick and thin? Actin and myosin. The thin and the thick filament made of proteins. We also have this other protein called dystrophin. The thin and the thick filament are the ones that are going to perform the movement. And this movement is going to be transmitted to dystrophin. Dystrophin is going to transfer this movement to these other proteins. And these proteins, they are going to continue with what the tendon is. Look at the distribution of these filaments. These ones are thicker. So if you look at this from far away, from here to here, all this area is going to be darker because these are thicker compared to this area. Clear, dark, and they come from right here. Clear, dark, and this is the sarcomere. It has different lines and bands, and that's why you see these names right here. This is obviously the H band, the M line, the C disc. Sarcomere goes from one C disc to the other C disc. Now, there are a couple of things that are very important in the myosin and in the actin. This is the myosin head in the myosin, and in the actin or thin filament, you're going to have 3 players: actin, troponin, tropomyosin. nerve-muscle relationship. We need a nerve in order to make a muscle move. So right here you have the nerve, and this nerve is going to be called a motor neuron because it's going to make your muscle move. The nerve and the muscle fiber right here, they're going to get together in this white area. It's called the synaptic cleft. That's the space between the nerve and the muscle. So what is a neuromuscular junction? It's the area, junction, where the nerve, neuron, and the muscle, muscular, get together. What is this thing in black? The nerve. What is this thing in red? The muscle fiber. What is this area then? This is the neuromuscular junction. So then if the nerve and the muscle don't touch, then how is it that the nerve is able to transfer the information to the muscle so the muscle can contract? For that purpose, the nerve is going to have these green vesicles inside here. In these vesicles, in these balloons, that nerve is going to have a chemical. And this chemical is called ACH, or acetylcholine. So when the impulse from the nerve comes down here, it reaches the vesicle. The vesicle is going to release the neurotransmitter in the synaptic cleft, in this space. The chemical is going to diffuse, is going basically to swim through this space, and is going to reach the purple receptors that you guys see here, these purple receptors. Once the neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, gets in contact with the purple receptors, now the information is already at the level of the muscle, and that's how the information gets transferred from the nerve into the muscle. Why? Because the nerve has a neurotransmitter, and the muscle has a receptor for that neurotransmitter. What is the name of the neurotransmitter? Acetylcholine. And the receptors, they are called nicotinic receptors. Electricity. Voltage is the way we express electricity. The AA battery, the one that you put inside your remote control, it has two ends, the top and the bottom, right? And the top and the bottom, they're going to have different charges. One side is going to be positive, the other one is going to be negative. So then how come in our body we can have positives and negatives in order to have voltage? Well, that got to do with the different type of ions that we have inside of us. For example, with French fries, we put salt. What is salt? Sodium chloride. And what is the charge that sodium has? Positive. What's the charge that chloride has? Negative. Okay, then if you just think about these two ions, then there you go. Once you eat the salt, you have sodiums and you have chlorines. Therefore, you have positives and negatives inside your body, and that's how you can get the electricity.